There's Christopher Timothy. Good afternoon.
Hello, Linda.
Welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
We had your co-star with us yesterday, Lisa Goddard.
She said what a good time she'd had.
Did she?
She did, yeah.
She told us a few secrets, which we may well bring out from time to time during our little chat this afternoon. We'll see how good you are.
Garlic is our big secret.
Garlic. You don't eat garlic before you go on stage, I hope.
Particularly if I'm going to work with Lisa. Oh, yeah. Well,
That's naughty.
No, well, she eats it too, so we don't notice.
You don't notice
so
each other
the
then?
audience cry a bit sometimes, but I mean, you know.
You're here, of course, in the Opera House all of this week in The Real Thing.
Yeah.
And you've worked with Lisa before, however, have you not?
I played her brother in Take Three Girls in 1944, whatever it was. I mean, like donkeys years ago.
I've forgotten that.
Yeah. Then we did, they rehashed it as Take Three Women in the very early 80s.
That's right.
And I played her brother again.
I've completely forgotten that.
And then we did See How They Run at the Theatre of Comedy. You know, the famous farce about all the vicars, which was good. And then we did a tour of a play towards the end of the year before last and the beginning of last year by the late Donald Churchill, and that's when we got to know each other much better and worked more consistently for a long time. And we get on really well, and I think she thinks I'm good, and I know I think she's good.
You work together
well.
Yeah,
and I think so. So
we were trying yesterday, without giving too much away, to get to the bottom of The Real Thing, because it is quite complex, and one would need to keep one's wits about when you're in the theatre to find out what's going on. Am I right there?
Yeah, you are right. And our main job, I think, is to make it clear. Of course, the main job is to convince people that we're real people and all that stuff. But the main thing is to make it clear, and I think we make it as clear as we can in the present circumstances. I think if we're going to do it some more, and I think we are going to do it some more, that I think we should go back to the drawing board for a bit. Not much, just a bit. And just thrash a few things out. Things that are concerning all of us. And we all get on very well, so there's not going to be a problem about that.
Good.
You know, we already can say to each other, and I don't just mean Lisa and I mean all of us, can say, you know that bit when you do so-and-so, it would be quite nice if it would help me more. And you think, oh, God, I'm sorry, was I being selfish?
Right.
Or you can say, no, I don't agree, I think you're wrong, and all that, you know, and it can happen like that, and that's how it should be, isn't it?
Yes, exactly, as you go through a run. How long is this run going to be?
We have another 3 weeks after Belfast.
After Belfast,
yeah.
Right. And then what? Where are you off to?
I don't know at all.
Nothing in the pipeline?
Very little.
Well, the offers will start rolling in after today, I can assure you, Christopher. We cannot talk with you this afternoon without, of course, mentioning All Creatures. Great and small.
Oh, yes. Oh, that All Creatures, yeah.
There's not going to be any more, I hear.
No. Well, there's no more material for a start.
Well, somebody could write something around.
You've seen series.
They've tried to do that.
Sure.
It doesn't work, you believe?
Well, I don't believe. No, I do believe that it doesn't work. We had quite a lot of invented stuff in All Creatures throughout. Not throughout, but certainly after we came back after the war.
To pad it a bit.
Yeah, just a bit. And an awful lot of the stories were Harriet stories, but were not from books he'd written. They were just from outlines.
Right.
And when the writers, particularly all the writers, but particularly the good writers, if they had the book to work from, you got a real flavour of Harriet. If they only had an outline, they had to create the flavour, and nobody can create Harriet's flavour. Of course, not any more than Stoppard couldn't create, and so on.
Yeah, right. What about working with all those animals and doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things? Any problems ever through filming?
Only that I thought at the beginning I was squeamish and it would be awful, and I found it was all much easier than it looks.
Really?
Much less unpleasant than people would have you believe. And
cows calving and things.
Oh, it's wonderful. What an experience. well, there were one or two makeup girls who weren't over keen on the idea, you know. Especially when they had to give me things to clean up with afterwards.
Yes, afterwards,
Sure.
Exactly.
But it is the most interesting thing of all. Is the man who trained me, if you like, the guy who is a man called Jack Watkinson, who is a vet absolutely in the Dales, and is a colleague of the real James Harriet, only a bit younger. And I was allotted to him for a week prior to the whole thing starting, at a time when we'd been discouraged from going to see James Harriet, because they said he's a very private man, and he is a very private man, and all those things, but actually he's the most approachable human being in the world, and what we should have done, particularly me, is to have gone out, knocked on his door and said hi, you know, but anyway, I didn't have the courage to do that. So I met Jack, and I was concerned about the Walt Disney element of Harriet's books, very concerned about that. It isn't much, but there's a romanticism that I know, or at least I suspected, doesn't really exist. Do you know? Because it's real. It's about real people. Right. So I
you wanted to avoid that, obviously.
Well, I thought very hard to not to make it mawkish. That's all. And I talked to him, and he said, "Oh no, Chris, it's just a job, you know." And he went to great lengths to explain that, and I liked him instantly. He's become one of my best friends, but I knew, at once there was a rapport. And so within hours of my meeting him, we were off on the rounds, and about the third thing we did was deliver a calf. Or he did, I just stood back and watched. And I listened to him saying, again in the car, at least twice, to my interminable questions. It went on and on. I don't know why I didn't go berserk. And finally he delivered this calf, and it was very, what's the word? It was very job-like. He did it very job-like-ish, and there was no sort of romance attached to it, until he'd finished. And he'd wiped the straw on the calf and got the mucus out of the mouth, and the calf was up on its feet and being licked by the mother. And he says, a wonderful sight, whether you know, even to a hard-bitten cynic like me, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I just looked at it and thought, wow, it really is incredible. And then I looked at Jack's face, just looking at it and taking it in, and I thought, it's not quite just a job. Even for a man as tough as him, you know.
Yeah, that look of pleasure with
and wonder,
a job well done.
Oh, sure.
And all those other
and the
things.
wonder of
Life.
the miracle. Yeah, sure.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
And I thought, yeah, this guy's got it right. So I based my James Hurd on him, really.
Right. What about the clients he was going to these various farmers in the Dales that you were going?
Just the same as the ones
Were they
in the
like the
series.
characters?
There were some lovely ones. There were some stupid ones. There were some rude ones, difficult ones who didn't pay their bills.
Bills.
Of course. I mean, I said once, was it somebody said, one farmer